Not done yet.
Yeah.
In my August update video, I said that I was going to finish the bass pre, get it all done, and then just do a final video on it. And I intended to do that, but I have been fighting with a problem on this preamp off and on now for a little while that's really frustrating me. It's gotten me to the point where I'm considering bailing on this design altogether and starting over using a different circuit. The bass pre as it is working. I still need to do the filtering for the digital hash and stuff, but that's not impacting this issue I'm having right now. So we'll go over to the bench, and I'll show you what's going on. I have the preamp turned on. You can see that the lights are on. I've got the gain and the volume full up, but I've got all the tone controls down. I'm putting a 5 kilohertz, about 150 millivolt signal into the front of the preamp. You can see that on the oscilloscope right now. It's the yellow one up top. The bottom is the output. I have the gain and volume full up, but I've got all the tone controls down, and there's nothing on the output. And we expect that with this. But if I turn the mids up, I should expect to see it passing signal. And it is passing some signal. A really nice signal, actually. You can see that there. The gain control does work. If I turn it down, the output decreases down to 0. Same thing with the volume control. Goes down a little fast, so I might need to change that pot. For something with a slower taper. We'll see what happens there when we get this going. But for all intents and purposes, this part's working. This preamp has been sitting on the bench right now, turned on for a couple hours. Nothing's melting, nothing's burning, nothing's smoking. All the voltages are okay. Here's what the problem is. I've got a 5 kilohertz signal going in right now, so we would expect the bass control not to do much right now. And it isn't. It's not doing anything, and it shouldn't. 5K is way out of the bass range. If I turn the treble control, I would expect that the output would increase because I'll be adding more treble frequency to it. So I've got the treble off right now. Now watch what happens as I turn it. The signal decreases till I get to about halfway, and then it starts to increase as I get it to full. So it's kind of working, and maybe this dip in the middle is to be expected, but I've been trying to figure it out, and it doesn't seem normal. I put a Champ up on the desk and scoped its output from the tone stack, and it doesn't do this. I got a very smooth increase of frequencies on treble from 0 all the way up to full. It did not dip in the middle like that. So as I say, I'm not too sure why this circuit's doing that, or even if it's a problem. I wondered if it might be the local negative feedback loop for the gain control, and turning that really only does what we would expect. It just kind of brings the volume down. It doesn't change the way that the treble control works and what it's doing. If I turn it all the way down with the gain at about halfway, we get more signal than at halfway, and we get more signal when we're full up as well. So that's a little bit bothersome. If I change the frequency of the wave I'm putting in, so we'll take it down to 100 hertz. So we'll look at what the bass control does in the bass frequencies. We are seeing that 100 hertz wave going in. It's at about 150 millivolts as well. And the output wave is very low because we have the bass control turned off. If I turn the bass control full up, nothing really happens until I turn the treble control off. Then we get output. It's not triggering too well because the signal's pretty low, but you can see the waveform there. As I turn the bass down now with the treble off, the output gets a little bit greater. I turn the bass control back up, and our output is decreasing. I turn the treble all the way up, and we get no bass frequencies. I have been through every aspect of this. First of all, these controls are not wired backwards. I have checked this many times. None of the components are bad. All of my grounds are okay. Everything seems fine in here, but I am missing something, and it's driving me crazy. So I just thought I'd film this part now, because now what I'm going to do is troubleshoot and try and figure out what's going on here. So this is the situation we are facing. When the treble control is all the way up, the bass control has no effect, and our bass frequencies are very attenuated. With a 5 kilohertz input, if I turn the treble to the middle, our treble frequencies decrease, which they should, but then why do they increase again when we go down to 0? They should not do that. What we should be seeing is the lowest output when the treble is on 0, and as we turn it up, our treble output should increase gradually until we get to full. It's not doing that. Up to the middle it decreases, and then it starts to increase again from halfway. The mid control does seem to be working the way we expect. Right now, 5 kilohertz, the mid control is not having a lot of effect. I'll just, for the sake of thoroughness, we'll put a, let's go for 800 hertz. That's working. We've got all the controls full up. If I turn the mid control down, we get a little bit of activity there, not much. If I turn the treble down, there, with treble off, we've got a very healthy output signal. And then with the treble off, if I turn the mid down, now it has much more effect. Turn the treble back up, and our output is quite diminished, and the mid control seems to have no control or no effect. So something doesn't seem right. It's the waveform when it's coming out is looking good. I haven't listened to this yet, and it may be just fine. Maybe for some reason I'm just not getting why that's dipping in the middle. This circuit is a little bit of a different circuit for me with that negative feedback loop in there. Anyway, I'm going to troubleshoot, try and figure out whether this is normal or not. For the first test, I've lifted the feedback, the local feedback, out of the preamp circuit. So now this is a lot more just like the preamp of a Champ or even a Fender Twin, more like a Fender Twin, something with a mid-range control. With the gain control being turned up or down, it makes no difference, and that's because that whole part of the circuit is not in the circuit anymore. So the volume control is working normally. We're getting not quite the nicest sine wave out of there, but good enough for right now. The treble control is now working as we expect. We turn it down to 0, we get no output. As we turn it up, the output increases until we reach full range. If we go back to the mid-range test, so we'll go to back to 800 hertz here. As I increase the mids, we see that that's working as we expect, going from nothing up to output. Again, not the nicest sine wave. So now with 100 hertz going in the front end and the bass control at 0, we've got nothing coming out. As we turn it up, we start to get output until we get to full up. It seems to be working more the way we expect now. One thing that the negative feedback is supposed to do in there is help us keep a cleaner sine wave. As you can see, the sine wave's not very clean here on the bass mids or high frequencies. With the negative feedback in there, it was always a nice clean sine wave. It just was behaving counter to my expectations. So what I'm going to do now is put that loop back in, reactivate that negative feedback loop, and just start doing all the same tests over again, just to see what's happening. And then I'll do an audio test off camera to see how that works, and we'll get back to you. Before I do any of those things, I just thought I'd put a Champ up. Actually, it's the Champ that's usually over behind me here. It needs some work done too, but it's working well enough to sort of demonstrate what I was seeing and what seemed to be causing me a problem. I've got the Champ all set, running. It's been warming up for about half an hour. I'm putting, again, a 5 kilohertz signal into the front end. Again, there's no mid control on the Champ, so we can't test the mid control, but that doesn't really matter. We've sort of established what's going on. So you can see 5 kilohertz signal going in. We are getting signal out, even though the treble and the bass are turned all the way down. That mid resistor is still in there. So it's like having the mids turned up a little bit. So that's why we're still getting some output. If we had a mid control, we could turn down to 0. We'd have a flat line output. I've turned the volume up just before it starts clipping. So what we are viewing right now is out of the second triode of the preamp, just before it goes into the power tube. Just at about 2.5, 2 3/4 is where it just starts to clip. So I've set it so we're getting a clean sine wave. 5 kilohertz signal going in, again, still about 150 millivolts. If I turn the treble up, you see that our output does increase, and it's working the way we expect. The bass at this frequency should have no effect, and turning it doesn't do anything. So now we'll take our frequency down to 100 hertz and see what we get down there. Again, we don't have no output because that mid resistor is there. It's like a fixed setting to your mid pot. And if I turn the bass control up, it does increase our output. So this is what we were expecting, and this is how the bass pre is working now without that negative feedback loop. So I've got some studying and research to do on negative feedback, but I am going to connect that back up in the bass pre. A couple of other things that I will point out. We're going to take this back to 5 kilohertz, and we'll turn the treble up. So we're getting a nice clean sine wave out of there right now, and that's with the volume at about 2 3/4. Now, the bass pre actually has a little more gain, a little more push. So why we were not seeing a clean sine wave on that with the negative feedback, the local negative feedback taken out, was the signal was just too hot. The volume control is actually after both triodes in that circuit. So when we're turning it down, we're just turning down the output. We're not really turning down what's going into the tubes. Whereas in the Champ, after the tone stack's after the first triode, and then it goes into the second triode. So there's a lot less gain coming out of the tone stack in the Champ. So one of the things the local negative feedback does is it brings the gain down a little bit, tames the signal, and makes it more of a sine wave. If you recall on our first test when it was still in the circuit, the sine wave was looking very nice. And that's why. I'm not too concerned that the sine wave wasn't looking like a nice, pretty sine wave with the negative feedback out of the circuit on the bass pre. When it's in there, we're getting a nice looking sine wave. This issue was one of the things that had made me decide to take the summer off. I found this issue right away, and I just couldn't wrap my head around what was happening no matter what I did. Now, the first thing about that is I did want to take time off, so I didn't work too hard on it. But the other part is, I was looking at that, and no matter how many times I looked at the schematic and the layout and the physical wiring of it, everything just kept looking right. I kept confirming it and comparing to other circuits, and I just kept saying to myself, there can't be anything wrong here, and just not wanting to look at it. What I should have done was take the time to look into this actual circuit. This is the first time I've built a circuit like this, and found out whether this is maybe expected behavior. It's actually not easy to find information on that, at least doing web searches and looking through most of my books. But I do think it's on the right track. So I don't know if the next video will be the last one or not. What I do still need to do to the bass pre is after I get it all wired up properly again, the preamp itself, I still need to do the filtering. There is a lot of digital hash on the output. I can see it on the scope. I did a quick ran the output of it into an interface in my computer just so I could hear what was going on. And yeah, you can hear the digital noise. And so I really do need to filter that out. I'm hoping I will be able to filter that out. At any rate, I think that's going to be it for this video. A little bit of a rabbit hole has been gone down, but I think I've learned something here, and I've got some more to learn, and I hope you found this interesting as well. So that's going to be it for this one. Please give the video a like. It really helps and doesn't cost you anything. Check my band One Soul Thrust. The links are in the description below. And as always, until the next video, we'll see you